After making his debut on the slopes with Shaun White Snowboarding, Ubisoft is now putting the cross-sport superstar into his first skateboarding game, aptly titled Shaun White Skateboarding. While the one formerly known as the Flying Tomato performed decently on the snow, his latest offering leaves quite a bit to be desired thanks to poor design decisions and a general lack of focus. Shaun White Skateboarding presents a world where a totalitarian government regime known as the Ministry has removed any and all signs of emotion and expression from people's lives. Skateboarding has been outlawed because, as anyone knows, it's a pivotal part of developing emotions, right? Anyways, it's up to you and your created skater to free Shaun White from the evil G-Men and restore the colorless world to vibrance. To do this, you simply land tricks around the game world and a wave of color explodes outward from your feet, lighting up the environment and people around you. It's a cool effect the first time you see it, but after the 435th instance, it gets a little redundant. Making matters worse is the fact that the world around you doesn't look all that good. Nothing has very much detail or life to it, and the frame rate struggles noticeably at points. It also doesn't help that the story doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't take itself very seriously, which I appreciate, but there's never a reason to care about any of the characters you meet or that Shaun White is being held captive. It really doesn't seem that bad in the clutches of this so-called evil government. They do let him skate after all. You've probably noticed by now that I haven't mentioned the actual skating that powers Shaun White's skateboarding yet, and that's because there's really nothing new or noteworthy about it. It uses a simplified version of EA's skate controls. It uses the analog stick for the bulk of its tricks, but instead of moving the stick in a sensible direction that mimics the movements of the board itself, it allows you to flick the stick in pretty much any two directions to get some sort of trick. This mechanic is done to try and bring in non-skateboarding fans, but it winds up making a skating game that's not very satisfying. It's fun at first, but soon you realize that each piece of shapeable environment has a predefined endpoint that you're supposed to reach to make progress in your current menial task, which sort of eliminates the creativity aspect. I say that most of your tasks are menial because, well, they are. I spent time clearing birds out of an amusement park and removing lots of evil ministry installations like propaganda speakers, de-influencers, and spy bots. Each of these tasks has very little to do with actual skating, and instead are more about your ability to find your way to each objective. You unlock new tricks, moves, and clothing options throughout the campaign, but the experience point system feels forced, like it was thrown in for the sole purpose of trying to add another layer to fully complete the game. Shaun White Skateboarding does come with a few multiplayer modes to go along with its story mode, the most interesting of which is the Ministry versus the Rising. It's sort of like King of the Hill, but you have to land tricks around capture points to win them over. Like everything in Shaun White, it's decent at best, but some will be able to find fun. It's more than a little ironic that a skating game that's all about inspiring a dead world could have used some inspiration itself. The mission design is poor and feels as though it's adding on mundane tasks to elongate the campaign, and the fact that quality skateboarding takes a backseat to a silly, pointless story is a shame. There are a few fun moments in Shaun White Skateboarding, but not nearly enough to warrant anything more than a rental for die-hard fans. For more on Shaun White Skateboarding, head over to IGN.com.